Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is George Human and I'm your friendly neighborhood anime and manga fan. I love all things anime and all things manga, and I'm here today to talk about Spice and Wolf episode 14. So, what did I think about this week's episode? Honestly, I thought this week's episode was great. I think it did a great job at setting up once again Holo and Lawrence's relationship and their dynamic as a whole, and just seeing how much their bond keeps increasing and, becoming more and more personal with each other. We also get introduced to a new character that will be very important for the beginning of this arc, and pretty much for anybody that's seen the original anime, we know who this character is, and he's very let's just say he's very iconic, at least for my sake, when it comes to this new character that gets introduced from the original anime that I got very vivid memories about him. Now, before I go any further with this week's episode, I just want to give you guys a quick reminder to make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you guys can be up to date with all my Spice and Wolf as well as all my anime and manga content that I'll be providing in this channel. It really helps out a lot, and I would really appreciate it if you guys could subscribe to my YouTube channel. So if you guys could, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get into this week's episode. So this week's episode starts off where we pretty much see Holo and Lawrence on the road, and they're pretty much already left the town. They're pretty much about to ensue in a new town, and as the journey continues, you see them in their cart, and you see Holo just like kind of bored. She's like, oh my god, this is lame. And we see pretty much that Lawrence is like, okay, here, I got you something pretty. And he gets her like these 3 feathers, and I guess they symbolize that you're a nun or something along those lines, because we see that pretty much as Lawrence continues with the running on the cart, Holo's like, well, we better get some good food, and you better treat me well when we get to the new town. And Lawrence is like, yeah, we will. And like she just is telling Lawrence like, by the way, just so you know, I'm gonna like pay my own she's pretty much like, I'm gonna don't think that I'm not gonna pay you back when everything that you've been doing, I will. And Lawrence is like, yeah, I know. And then she's like, but how are your funds? Are you doing good in money financially? And he's like, yeah, we should be having enough, but we might not have a fireplace and stuff like that. And she's like, who cares about that? As long as we have a place, we're good. And Lawrence is like, he's just telling her like, yeah, no, I think she's the one that brings up like, hey, what about if we get like a 1 bed in? And you're like, what? So that's the funny part, because now you're thinking to yourself like, oh snap, like are they gonna be sharing the bed? And this is the funny interaction between these two that I was cracking up, and it was very funny because Lawrence also got a little startled because he got caught off guard by that proposition. And we see pretty much Holo eventually she stops teasing him a bit, is like, okay, and he just says like, because she's like telling him like, I got pretty much she's just saying like, you're a good guy, thank you for always taking care of me, but get me some food. And as they continue with their journey, they eventually stumble upon like these people that have been like these vendors or merchants or whatever, and then I guess they're pursuing like food, and why not, like, or they have like fishes out because they're by the lake or river or whatever. And Holo's like, hey, I'm gonna get some food. So they pull up. Lawrence is like, hey, can I get some food? And this young guy, his name is Amarti, and this guy, he's like, sorry guys, this is already reserved all my fish for someone's buyer, so I can't sell you anymore. And then he's like, oh, well, is there anybody that can like, I can buy some fish? He's like, yeah, you can buy some like at bulk, like for you to sell it. And she's like, no, I just want to eat some food, man. And he's like, oh, what a travesty. And yeah, I don't have anything. And then as soon as he sees Holo, my man changes his whole like his whole get-go. Like he's just like, oh my goodness, yeah. Are you guys heading to the town? He's like, yeah, we're heading to the town. Why? What's up? It's like, oh, there should be no like there's no hotels, no inns. There's like all of it is sold out because of this festival, because there was this festival that Lawrence wanted to check out with Holo, that happens to be in the town as well, and all the inns are taken pretty much. And then he's like, don't worry, let me talk to some of my connections, and I'll get you guys an inn. And he's like, oh, you're really nice, man, I appreciate it. It's like, no, of course, I got you. And throughout it all, like Holo's like, thank you. And my man is just simping. My man is like over the moon for her. This is a funny thing about the original Spice and Wolf that always had me cracking up, is this guy, because Amarti is the embodiment of a true simp at heart. My man is just head over heels for Holo, which, by the way, hey man, don't blame him. I don't blame him. I mean, Holo is the goddess, so she's a goddess after all. But still, this is like hilarious, because like my man, it's outshine. Like this dude is like, he looks like a 12-year-old. Lawrence is like an adult, obviously, and it's just funny. I think that this is like a cute little crush on Holo, which is just hilarious. But throughout it all, we see they eventually get the end. The even treats them for some food, and then Holo's like, oh, thank you so much. And as they're eating, they're just enjoying their feast. And eventually Holo keeps drinking, and Lawrence is like, hey, you might want to slow down because you're gonna wake up with a hangover. It's like, no, I won't. And as they continue, they pretty much have this conversation where, Hollow's like, hey man, like what's up with all these lame cargo? Like, are you ever gonna buy something fun? And he's like, listen, it might be like lame, but it's profitable. But hey, in the bright side, not everything in my cart is lame. And she's like, oh really? What isn't lame? It's like, well, you're in my cart, so yeah, it can't be that bad, right? And she's like, you're good with your words. Yeah, I like that. But she's like, still, at least try to make it more entertaining. And Lawrence is like, okay, I'll try, I guess. And as she continues drinking and drinking, what happens? She wakes up with a hangover, of course, because my girl cannot tolerate her liquor. Hey man, she drank for sure. She can definitely drink, but she can't hang. Like Hollow, she took they look like big gulps of wine and all, but my girl was wasted. All right, she put up good fight, but eventually the liquor got to her, and she's super hangover the next morning. And Lawrence is like, okay, well, I'm gonna go check around, to talk some business with one of my associates from back in the day. But I'll tell you what, you can just be here and drink some water, refresh yourself, make yourself look alive. Because she's like gone. Like, it was hilarious. Like, just Hollow looks like completely hangover, and it was funny. And pretty much how we see is the next section of the episode is that, Lawrence is going to the market, and he's gonna try to sell some of his merchandise. And as he's doing that, he's like, I got a bunch of nails. So you're like, okay, he's gonna sell a bunch of nails because he's trying to just get it off just so he can get more money. And we see that pretty much the guy, one of Lawrence's friends, his name is Mark, and this guy, he's like, hey man, I'm not into like nails and stuff. And he's like, yeah, but you can sell them though. Like, it's a profitable business. Like, all right, I guess. He's like, so how much? It's like, okay, well, I'm gonna sell, like, I think he offers them like 10 coins, and he's like, whoa, that's way too cheap. I was like, and then this guy, he's trying to hassle Lawrence, as as a merchant should do. And it's like, the expedition, the one that the whole weaponry and the armory, how people went bankrupt, like, the armor, how Lawrence got into the whole bankrupt business. He's saying like, all that metal, it's useless and they're gonna melt it. And Lawrence picks up on that. He's like, yeah, that would be the case, but that's like super far. Like, that's not happening. That doesn't have any effect in this town. And that guy catches on, and he's like, all right, fair enough. I guess you're right, Lawrence. So give me a price. And he's like, 16. Is like, no way. And then I believe they settle on 14 and 2/3 or 14 or something. It was around the ballpark of 14 or 13 coins. So compromise, and it's all about business, man. Trying to that saying where as long as both parties are unhappy a little bit, that means that was a good business in both hands, right? And they shake hands, they're respectable. You find out this guy has a wife, he has a kid, and he's pretty much has a good life so far. He opened his own shop, and he's kind of reflecting on everything that Lawrence wants to build up to have one day. And talking about the future, we see him go back to the inn and discuss the future with Hollow, and they're talking about how they gotta reach the city of Uetsu. And Lawrence is asking Hollow, like, hey, do you remember like any cities nearby or anybody that anything, like, so we get an idea how far it is. And eventually Hollow says there's a city called Ryuhan or something like that, and he's like, oh cool. It's like, yeah, I heard of that town. It's like, yeah. And then Hollow's like, yeah, it should take me like 2 days, like nonstop to get there. And Lawrence is like, oh, are you talking about, it should be at least a month or so, like, because he's talking about when she's in her wolf form. And Lawrence is like, oh, that's gonna take a long time. He's like, hey, would it be okay if if I took you there and then you go to your town and then you can meet me back? And Hollow's like, yeah, that's fine. And you can tell that she's playing on ag, because she obviously doesn't want to be alone. And we pretty much end the episode where they have like this conflict where Lawrence realizes that Hollow's gonna be lonely, and he doesn't want to do that, but he already spilled it out, like, hey, what if you go by yourself? And Hollow's playing dumb. She goes to bed, she's like, no, it's okay, I think I should be fine, I like this plan, it's fine. But in reality, there's some conflict, and their relationship and chemistry and their bond is kind of like breaking apart by the symbolism of like a firewood being spread apart. And yeah, what a great way to end the episode with some tension. And I can't wait to see what happens in the next episode, because now we're starting a new arc, which I'm all for. I love seeing it, and I like to see how this arc will be adapted this time around. Now, with all that being said, what did you guys think about this week's episode? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys thought it was alright? Whatever you guys thought, let me know in the comment section down below. Also, thank you so much for sticking all the way to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Spice and Wolf, as well as more anime and manga content in the near future. But yeah, with all that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.